Hello viewers, this is the best race I've had in 2022, an incredible battle between myself and two other players right the way down to the wire on the final lap. Now, it's a 12 lap race around Road Atlanta in the Mazda MX-5s, and let's see how this one begins, starting P2 on the grid. Now as the lights go out, there we go, I'm going to immediately make my way over to the right hand side into the slipstream of the pole sitter. He was 2/10 or about a quarter of a second quicker than me in the qualifying. Therefore I was very wary of his pace. So just going to tuck in, try to settle into this race and be quite patient, at least to begin with. Now we are throughout this video going to ride on board with Wind, this guy in the green car, starting in 16th out of 16 and fighting their way through from the back of the pack. Now there's a good reason for that, of course. They are going to fight their way through and we're going to end up having a very good battle, but it's also just really interesting to watch a very fast player go to battle from the back of the pack. And it's something that happens every now and then. You see a very quick player, and I'd say Wind is actually one of the fastest players who actually plays sport mode regularly. There are maybe faster players, but they don't really play the game as much. So Wind is, if you see him on, in the lobby, one of the fastest players in the game right now who regularly actually plays, and his situation is this: fighting his way through a horde of cars, starting P16. Of course there's quite a lot of traffic, it's a standing start, so a lot of cars very close together, and it can be quite a difficult task to fight your way through. Into the chicane, going 3 abreast here, the car on the outside gets absolutely shafted, tries to get the move done there on the second apex, doesn't quite manage to make it happen, and so has to kind of wait for another day to get that move done there. End of lap number 1 then, sitting pretty in second, and my kind of objective here really was to make sure that the leader doesn't get away. I was doing my utmost just to keep in the slipstream range. This guy was very quick, and I would say that he was actually quicker than me. I was keeping up really only courtesy of the slipstream, which I'd say around this lap can definitely gain you a good 3 or 4 tenths at a minimum, perhaps more. So I was definitely slightly off the pace of this guy, but I knew that if I could just stay in the slipstream range, then that would be great. Also by doing that, just by being nice and consistent at the beginning of this race, just hopefully begin to edge clear of P3, P4, etc. And that is beginning to look like it's happening, as I'm now out of the slipstream range of the guy in 3rd place. So that's good news. I want to make it a 2-horse race rather than a 3 or a 4 or a 5-horse race, ideally. So down the back straight, you can see in the distance there, cars swerving from left to right to try to break the toe of the car behind. And that was a common thing on this race. The slipstream was so powerful, and what it meant was cars were clustered together. Now Wind there, making light work of another car. I think a lot of the guys kind of recognised how quick he was and just didn't really bother to fight him. So he was siphoning through the pack very quickly as we round out lap number 2 here. Through the final corners, easily flat out in the Mazda MX-5, setting the fastest lap of the race so far, 28.475. Not bad of a lap, but we can definitely go quicker than that. Now this is where things are going to get a little bit trickier for Wind, because there's a big cluster of 4 cars, as we mentioned. With the slipstream as strong as it is in this car on this track, you often get cars clustered together, and what I would say is it didn't actually turn out to be too difficult for him to actually get past these 3 cars, because as we come down here, the grey car on the left is going to get pushed onto the grass and kind of just forego his brake pedal, come back on like a wrecking ball, and there are multiple murders at the scene of turn 5. 3 positions gained in one fell swoop with minimal time loss, and that's the thing you're considering when you're starting at the back of the pack. You're really just trying to get past the cars as quickly as possible without losing time. You could easily get into a battle with someone and you start slowing each other down, and it's a waste of time. If you can get through and get away, that is the dream scenario. That seems to be happening right now for Wind. End of lap number 4 then. Similar scenario, and you're probably wondering, when does this race actually kick into life? Trust me, it will. Trust me, it will. In towards turn number 1. We actually set the fastest lap of the race there, 28.195. And that really, again, is courtesy of being in the toe of the leader. I don't think I'd be on that pace without the slipstream. And we're just playing this one very tactically. This was a very tactical race because of the slipstream. It was so hard to break away from the car behind if you did not have a significant pace advantage. And so I knew that I could just sit here and be comfortable, put some pressure on, and this was about as close as I've got in the race so far, other than turn 1 on lap 1. So this actually bodes well for possibly going for an overtake. Through turn 7 onto the back straight, 0.4 seconds behind, and you can see the momentum really working in my favour now that we are fully into the slipstream, pulling out to the left hand side. There's not much that they can do actually about trying to prevent that move. Or I mean, he could have moved to the left hand side to defend it, but I think I probably would have got the slingshot past anyway. On the exit, he actually manages the old switcheroo, gets back onto my right hand side in towards the final corner, and I tried to resist it. There's not much I can do really. Coming down the main straight side by side, and I knew that that's a battle lost as I'm on the outside in towards turn 1. Wind just getting closer and closer all the time, but this battle just getting quite good now, as I felt like, okay, I'm just beginning to really warm up to this car. My first 4 laps were quite average. On the 5th lap I just felt like I was getting a bit better and getting a bit closer to the guy in front. For the first 4 laps I was lucky just to stay with him. Lap 5 and now lap 6, I'm beginning just to really put the pressure on and try to get these moves done. And here there's not much opportunity to really go around the outside. I perhaps could have kept the power on there and gone for the move back out, and then try to go for the move here on the back straight. Car behind with a penalty, so we are going to open up this gap a little bit more. Coming down the back straight side by side here, I've got just a tiny part of my car back, now half my car alongside. Now this kink to the right is going to work in my favour, but I'm actually going to back out slightly, just wary that I don't want to fight too much. If we fight too much, we lose a lot of time, the cars behind start gaining, so you do have to be very mindful of that. It's quite a long race, 12 laps, so there's no need to fight too soon in the race. You have to be very, very tactical and quite smart if you want to win these races. So Wind actually, in that previous clip we just saw him just beginning to catch up with P3 and P4 into the slipstream range, and we are very much right up in the gearbox of the leader. And it's been a good couple of laps here, just really actually beginning to settle into this race properly now. And we can go for these moves, but then it's very difficult to lead because the car behind is going to have the slipstream. It's very difficult to pull away. Wind now right up behind P4 and is going to look for this move. Let's see how he goes about it. So coming out of turn 5, maximising the track limits on the exit, and perhaps could have gone for this move, I would say, into turn 6. Could have pulled out there. Just decides to back out, not go for the move, and I think it's the smartest decision, to be honest, because you might as well wait for this straight coming up, get the slipstream, and overall that is a quicker way to overtake. You lose less time by doing that. So this is going to get quite interesting here between P3, 4 and 5. Now, the guy in 3rd is actually going to serve a penalty here on the penalty line, so he's not just randomly brake checking, that is a penalty being served. But then down the back straight, in towards the chicane, the other guy's actually going to back out. So that's Wind now into P3. You see the 2 cars in front? That is myself and the leader. So he has clear air between, well, me and him, as to try to just reel us in over the course of the next couple of laps. So Wind doing a good job there of getting past from 16th to 3rd in 6-7 laps. Now, as we end the 8th lap here, still similar scenario as we round out lap number 8. 2/3 of the race now complete, and this is where we get into the interesting phase of the race where you really want to actually start racing. I said earlier that you don't want to actually start racing too much too early, especially with someone who's quite equal in pace with you, because you're just going to start losing time to the cars behind. Now I set my fastest lap of the race so far on lap number 8, a 27.7, but Wind with a 27.2, half a second quicker, and at that rate will catch up with us before the end of the race. Now it's up to us to try to really set some consistent laps here and give him as little time as possible to try to overhaul us here. It's just one of those things you have to accept in motorsport sometimes. You know, there's a quicker guy in a quicker car. Not in this occasion, it's the same car, but sometimes someone is quicker and you know they're going to catch, and you just have to try to prepare for the scenario when it does happen. Now the gap is 1.8 to Wind, so it's going to happen within a lap or two, I would say, at this rate. Down the back straight, looking for this move. Now my tactical decision here was I would rather be in the lead when Wind catches up to us, and that was my main thinking here. So I tried to go back into the lead. I did it successfully. As we come down towards the end of lap number 9, 3 laps left to go. Now coming up towards the first corner, I should have perhaps defended here. I didn't, and he's going to go back up the inside. He's going to look for it. I'm going to try and ride it around the outside and actually successfully defend that one by carrying more speed around on the wider line. Now, all I need to try and do here is try and pull away if possible. It's going to be really difficult because I think the two of us are very equal on pace, and with the slipstream so strong, it's going to be really hard to do that. I can try my utmost, try not to get a penalty there, really pushing the track limits to the limit. Down towards turn number 6, lap number 10. We haven't got many laps left to go here. 2.5 laps remaining, and in towards turn 7, crucial corner on this lap, and I actually go in a little bit too hot, I would say, and PH47 here is going to have a very good chance of getting back past us in the slipstream. There's not much I can do. I am going to try and defend it. You see here, looking in the mirror, which side am I going to go? I'm going to just keep it to the right, defend slightly, but again, there's not much you can do. Going to overhaul us here on the inside, and this position changing, this swapping of position hasn't helped us, because now Wind, also with his really quick line through the final chicane, is now firmly with us. So it's a 3-horse race here with 2 laps remaining. This is it. Now I wanted to pin him to the inside. He went very defensive, so I went all the way to the inside as long as possible, kept him there, performed the old switcheroo. Quite an easy move there, actually, to be honest. Wind is actually going to follow us through up into P2. So I'm in the lead with 1 3/4 laps remaining. It's going to be really tricky to keep that position, though. You see there, Wind now firmly in the rearview mirror, and that's quite a daunting prospect, given that he's come all the way from 16th on the grid and has been cycling his way through the pack. And we know he's quicker. He's set the fastest lap of the race. Looking for the move there. Is he going to go for it? No. It's been the decision, really, I think, through the race to not go for the move into turn 6. You might as well wait for the straight after turn 7, as it is the easier move. Okay, here we go then, on to the back straight. Let's see how this one unfolds. He's basically pushing me down this straight now, and I don't think there's going to be much I can do. P4 actually isn't too far away either, so we've got to consider the Spaniard in 4th place. But Wind here on the right-hand side, I forced him to the outside for the chicane. But PH actually has the run here. As you can see, pulls to the left-hand side, coming down towards the final chicane. 3 abreast temporarily. I'm going to try to run Wind wide, but I can't quite do it. He was fully alongside the whole time, and I'm actually going to lose time on the exit and go back into P3 as we head down towards the final turn of lap number 11, crossing the line, beginning of the final lap. Here we go then. 3rd place. Can we get back into the race lead? With 1 lap left to go through the first corner. Who's going to get supremacy here in towards turn number 2? Wind around the outside, gets the move done into the lead of the race, and you can see here the Spaniard has joined the party. 4 cars with a chance of winning this race on the final lap. It is such an incredible battle, and it's going to go right down to the wire. Through turn 5, over the grass, making the most of the track limits on the exit. Towards turn 6, just wary of the Spaniard behind, and he was really close, right on my bumper here in towards turn 6. I was hoping he didn't go for a move, and thankfully he didn't. Onto the back straight then, Wind in the prime position, but is it? Let's see, in the slipstream, onto the straight we go for the final time. This is where it's all going to unfold now. Firmly in that slipstream, tucking right in. I decide which side to go. I looked to the right and I eventually decided to go left for the inside into the chicane. Wind is a bit of a sitting duck there. And then we're going to pull off a very late braking manoeuvre into the chicane, head towards the apex, take the lead of the race right on the apex of the final chicane. And all I have to do is drive quite narrow here towards the finish. They aren't going to be able to overtake me again. And it's going to be a race win after all of that. A lot of drama, 0.4 seconds between first and fourth. An absolutely incredible race. Really, really fun. Obviously, you know, if I finished P4, it might not have been so fun, but it was a really, really great battle. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.